Well, good morning and welcome to our Godly Play story on the 6th Sunday of Easter. And we continue with the story called Knowing Jesus in a New Way. So, are you ready for a story? On the first day of knowing Jesus in a new way, only the women had the courage to go to the tomb. There were three Marys: Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mary, the mother of James, and Mary Magdalene. Now, Mary Magdalene was not a mother, but she was a good and true friend. When the women got to the tomb, the stone had been rolled away and Jesus was gone, just the sheet that he had been wrapped in. They ran back to tell the others, and Peter and John raced to the tomb and looked inside, and Jesus was gone, gone, gone. And yet, somehow, even present in his absence, they all went back, but Mary Magdalene stayed. She stood at the tomb weeping. A voice said, "Woman, why are you weeping?" Mary turned and she saw what she thought was the gardener. And she said, "Tell me, where have they taken my Lord?" And he said, "Mary." And she knew it was Jesus. And then he was gone. On the second Sunday in the season of Easter, we remember the story of two people walking down the road from Jerusalem to Emmaus. They were joined by a stranger who asked them what they were talking about. They said, "Have you not heard about what has happened these past 3 days?" They told him about the cross and about the empty tomb. And the stranger began to open up the scriptures for them, telling their story. When they got to Emmaus, the stranger went to keep walking, but they invited him to dinner. And sitting at a table in an inn, the stranger took bread. He gave thanks to God for it. He broke it, and he gave it to them. And their eyes were opened. It was Jesus. And then he was gone. And they rushed back to Jerusalem to tell the others. On the third Sunday of the season of Easter, we remember the time when Jesus' friends were all gathered together in a room. The door was shut and locked. They were afraid that the soldiers would come and take them like they took Jesus. And then suddenly they heard a voice, "Peace be with you." It was Jesus. He stayed with them, had some food with them, blessed them, and then he was gone. Now, Thomas was not there. And when they told him about it, he said, "I don't believe it." Thomas had doubt in his bones. He said, "I'll only believe if I can touch the wounds in his hands." 8 days later, they were all there together. And again they heard a voice, "Peace be with you." It was Jesus. This time, Thomas was there. And Jesus went straight to Thomas with his hand outstretched. Thomas fell to his knees and said, "My Lord and my God." But Jesus said, "Thomas, You believe because you can see. More blessed are those who believe without seeing. On the fourth Sunday of the season of Easter, we remember how the disciples returned to Galilee, as Jesus had told them to. They went to the Sea of Galilee. That is where many of them had grown up learning how to fish. And so they went fishing. And they fished all night. But they didn't catch anything. But that was okay because they were home. The sounds and the smells and the sights just made them feel better. When the sun came up, they looked on the shore and they saw a stranger who had built a fire. See the smoke? The stranger yelled out, "Do you have any fish?" And he said, "No." And the stranger said, "Throw your nets on the other side of the boat." So they did. And the nets began to fill with fish. They soon recognized that the stranger was no stranger. It was Jesus. When they came to shore, dragging the nets full of fish, they sat down with Jesus and they had breakfast. 3 times Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 times Peter said, "Yes, I love you." And 3 times Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." On the 5th Sunday of the season of Easter, we remember the time when the disciples went to a hillside. Jesus was there. He stretched out his hands and he blessed them and he taught them. But they did not understand everything that he was saying. And then what they did understand, they did not want to hear. Go everywhere. Tell everyone my story. Show people how to be good followers of mine. And then Jesus was gone. As they walked back to Jerusalem, they realized that once they were followers, but now they would be leaders. Once they were sheep, but now they would be shepherds. That they would never go home again, but they would make a home for others. Now, on this, the 6th Sunday of the Easter season, we remember how the disciples returned to Jerusalem. When they arrived, they went to their room, and Jesus was there. They were more comfortable knowing Jesus in this new way, and so they asked him many questions. Most of them were foolish. When will the kingdom be restored to Israel? Jesus cut short that questioning. That is not for you to know, not the time nor the season. He then got up and he led them out of the room. They walked through the streets of Jerusalem and out through the gates beyond the walls, where they came to a hillside, perhaps as far away as Bethany. Jesus stopped. They gathered around him, and he looked at each one and blessed them. And then he withdrew. He went up in a cloud. Well, they stood there staring up at the sky. Until they heard a voice say, "Why are you standing there staring at the sky?" They looked down and there were two strangers there wearing white clothes. They felt silly. Why were they standing there staring up at the sky, trying to see someone who was no longer there? One of the strangers answered that very question. Jesus was here, but he is no longer with you in that way. They turned and they walked back to Jerusalem. They were to wait for the Holy Spirit. But what was the Holy Spirit? And when would they know the Holy Spirit had come? They went into their room and they waited, and they waited. While they were waiting, they chose another disciple to replace Judas. God helped them pick Matthias. So now they were 12 again. And they waited. When would the Holy Spirit come? Now, I wonder if you have anything in your home that you could come and bring and put beside this picture to help tell the story we heard today. Only you know what that could be. And I wonder, those of you who know the Godly Playroom, if there's anything here that you could bring and place beside this picture to help us tell the story some more. Or maybe you could ask the questions. I wonder what part of this story you like the best. I wonder what's the most important part. I wonder where you are in this story, or this whole story. Or what about this story is about you? Something to talk about. Well, in a few minutes we're going to start church, so please stay around and join us. And happy 6th Sunday of Easter.